What's going on, folks? It has certainly been a while, but we are back with a replay cast today. Now, this was actually sent a few weeks ago, but I've been a little bit sick. Still am. You might hear it in my voice. Hopefully, it holds up throughout this replay. We are gonna be having a PVZ. Or ZVP, however you want to put it, between the red Protoss player, HEAVYSTARCH, and it's in all caps, so it's gonna be probably a little bit louder than that. Let's call him HEAVYSTARCH, but I'm not gonna be yelling at throughout this game. And the blue Zerg player in the top left, we know him, we love him, we hate him. It is kevinnleee. It's been a while since we've had any 1v1s or any replays for that matter. Gonna start things off with a hatch first out of Kevin, and Mr. HEAVYSTARCH gonna be a little bit cheeky, throwing down a pylon, stealing a gas as well, and oh, that cannon positioning, pretty cheeky, and I don't think Kevin sees this. No sir, he does not, and that is really annoying. Did I load up the right replay? Because this looks really bad. I don't see how long this game is going to be. You guys can see in the length of this video, but not looking too good for our Zerg hero right now. The first cannon finishing up already. Second and third being placed down. Kevin does finally see this with his Overlord, and he is going to cancel that hatchery. I think he should have maybe waited a little bit. I'm not sure what timing that was. Maybe try to force HEAVYSTARCH to allow those cannons to finish. But he cancels that hatchery. Going to take that natural elsewhere. And HEAVYSTARCH just being a nuisance right now, throwing up a gateway as well, and back at home he is expanding behind this. So HEAVYSTARCH certainly getting himself in a pretty decent position here. And what's Kevin's response? He does have his spawning pool finished, and curiously enough, he pulled his drones out of gas. He doesn't usually do that, and curiously enough, it's when he's being cheesed that he pulls out of gas. So it's not going to be any kind of roach or baneling bust out of this. And honestly, all you need to do is bust down this cannon. So maybe he's just going to push his spine crawlers forward and attack with everything all at once. And should be a pretty easy bust, but still relatively low commitment here out of the Protoss player. He's expanding back at home, so I would say it's definitely been worth it this far. There goes Kevin, moving all the spine crawlers forward. And in fact, not even going to sacrifice any lings. Gonna let these spine crawlers go to work. Down goes the cannon, and this campaign is done, at least in the main base, because look at this. HEAVYSTARCH fully sending it at this third base, or second base rather, and cannons do finish before the lings can get close. So this base most likely gonna go down. I don't know if Kevin really wants to commit all these lings. He could try to go for this pylon, but keep in mind there is a shield battery here that can repair that up. So Kevin, no, not gonna go for the bust. Instead, gonna go for the counterattack, but well, I don't know. Is there a hole here? I'm not entirely sure. Kevin runs all the way back home and is gonna go for that pylon. Is it gonna be enough? No micro out of HEAVYSTARCH. He could have told this battery to repair that pylon and might have been enough. HEAVYSTARCH says, oh shit, maybe recognizing that a bit of a blunder there by not telling the battery to repair that pylon. So good job from Kevin. Does save this base. And here is the potential counterattack. I'm not sure if there's a hole in this wall. But it's just going to be lings for now. We do not see a baneling nest or anything like that, so not going to be able to bust through. Just applying a little bit of pressure, and you can tell HEAVYSTARCH is feeling it. Putting down full shield batteries, backup pylon. He does have 2 cannons here. And back in the main base, he's going for a Stargate, chrono boosting out that Void Ray, which will be absolutely pivotal for any sort of defense. We do see, obviously, that Kevin's not going for a Baneling Bust or anything like that, but HEAVYSTARCH definitely a little bit defensive right now. Void Ray does pop out, and he's not going to go for this Overlord. Instead, going to send that across the map. Maybe try to get some damage done. And we do see the effects of the early game. HEAVYSTARCH up 42 to 26 workers. Here comes that Void Ray. Let's see what kind of damage it can get done. Gonna go for the hatchery, which was already very low. Turns on the prismatic alignment, and down goes the hatchery. Only taking a little bit of hull damage on that Void Ray. And things going from bad to worse for kevinnleee. He's invested so much money into these Zerglings that aren't doing a whole lot of anything. And look at all these Zerglings. That is 49 Zerglings. And that could have been, 25 drones. So, Kevin, I don't know about that decision making out of him. All these Zerglings pretty useless right now. We do see that Baneling nest finally getting started up. That is one of Kevin's go-to techs. The other being his favorite Mutalisk, those flappy boys. And yeah, look at these Zerglings just doing a whole lot of nothing right now. 2 Void Rays. Go to town on a few of these Overlords. Gonna supply block Kevin pretty badly right now. 65 out of 52. Another Overlord over here is vulnerable. It doesn't look like... Oh, maybe yes. HEAVYSTARCH does take out that one as well. So 65 out of 44. That is pretty brutal. 33 drones to 47 probes. And HEAVYSTARCH just continuing the Void Ray production. He does have a fleet beacon as well. But look at this out of Kevin. Banelings. And that is a lot of Banelings. Goes for the gateway, takes out the gateway, but not the best bust we've seen out of him. Doesn't even get through the wall. Whittles down this cybernetics core pretty substantially, but it's still standing. Shield battery going to heal that back up, and no Ling Flood in. Not sure if he really even would have gotten in. But yeah. That bust was a bit of a bust. Now these Void Rays are going to chase those Zerglings away. And there is the signature Spire from kevinnleee. He is sitting on only 2 bases. 8 minutes into the game in a ZVP. That is no bueno, my friends. And no anti-air really as well for Kevin. The Void Rays have been out on the field for a good, 4 minutes or so. Only just now starting 3 Spore Crawlers. He only has, 4 Queens it looks like. So maybe dropping the ball a little bit by the Protoss player. Possibly could have gotten some more work done with these 4 Void Rays. But with these Spores finishing up, Kevin should be relatively safe, at least for now. 3rd base finally going down for kevinnleee, but it is already almost finished for HEAVYSTARCH. HEAVYSTARCH going for the double upgrades out of the cybernetics core. Warp gate actually being researched 9 minutes in. And then of course getting the air weapons, which is huge for these bad boys, the carriers. Triple Stargate production now. And the reason air weapons upgrades are so strong for the carriers is because they have 8 interceptors. So each air upgrade benefits each interceptor. So a +1 is essentially +8, which is pretty big. We finally have some mutas out on the field. Let's see if Kevin will be able to find a little bit of damage. Just take out a sentry. No, doesn't even go for that sentry. That is not good. He gets a few probes, but loses a few mutas in the process. Not sure if that was entirely worth it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and say that was not worth it. 6 mutas remaining. I think he built a few more. Yeah, 3 more over here. Third base, not saturated whatsoever. Fourth base, not saturated whatsoever. Only 36 workers still out of kevinnleee. That is super bad. And I don't know. This is not looking good for our Zerg player. The Protoss has 3 bases, pretty well defended. He's going for a very scary Sky Toss army. Kevin is trailing very significantly in workers. And his counterattacks haven't really been doing a whole lot. Now, the one saving grace, I guess, is that HEAVYSTARCH has invested a lot of money into the defenses, into these walls. As you can see, there's that 6 gateways over here, and he doesn't even have any ground units except for this lonesome sentry. Mutas flying back into the main base to try to get some damage done. Very quick battery overcharge out of HEAVYSTARCH, so no damage really taken there, and so many mutas going down. Another failed attack there from kevinnleee. But as I was saying, a lot of resources invested into these gateways, into these pylons, into these cannons, into these batteries. So ideally, HEAVYSTARCH would have spent that money on a few more carriers, and yeah, if he had, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 more carriers, I think he could just push across the map right now. But 4 carriers, 4 void wraiths, not really enough of an army to just push and win the game. So he's got to sit back, going for the 4th base. And don't get me wrong, guys, HEAVYSTARCH is in an excellent position. But just now, finally falling behind in workers a little bit. kevinnleee finally pushing up in the worker count, 60 to 57 right now. But keep in mind, he was behind in that regards for a long time. How do I pull up the income chart? Not working. So you're just gonna have to take my word for it. The income has been favoring HEAVYSTARCH for most of this game. Probably just now favoring kevinnleee. The creep spread, not really something we ever talk about when it comes to Kevin, but not bad in this game. Could be better 13 minutes in, but he is spreading them outwards. I would like to see it go past a little more on this base, which he is working on now. And we do have, I saw some corruptors in production. Where are those? Yeah, there they are. Corruptors. The proper counter for Sky Toss. Don't go for Hydras. Corruptors are the answer. And now HEAVYSTARCH mixing in some gateway units in the form of High Templars. They're back there. There we go. You see them underneath that Sky Toss army, as well as some Archons. So that's going to make Kevin's life a little more difficult. The Archons are able to dish out a lot of splash damage, as well as those High Templars and their Storms. That's another layer of complexity. When these armies collide, Kevin's going to have to be mindful of not clumping up his units. Trying to go for a Ling run by, but that's going to get absolutely nothing done. 3 lings escape with their lives. But the worker count looking pretty nice now for Kevin. Finally, 79 workers to the 69. Nice. Of the Protoss. And Kevin going for +2 air weapons. Take a look at the upgrades tab. He has +1 currently. Now, in general, against Skytoss, you do want to prioritize armor. The reason being, again, each of those interceptors. So each level of armor decreases the efficiency of the interceptors. So +1 armor, essentially -8 for the carriers. Hope that makes sense. Ultimately, you do probably want both upgrades, but certainly should be favoring the armor there. And we do see that HEAVYSTARCH, he has a 2/2 on his Sky Toss army, so that is pretty significant. And as I say, that +3 finishes up, so that is very scary. And looks like HEAVYSTARCH going to be taking a 5th base here. Kevin going for his 5th, 6th, and 7th as well. Not really saturating them just yet, kind of starting on this base here. Let's call that the 5th, I guess. But that's a pretty good base count. Doesn't matter if you're not utilizing all of them just yet. You can transfer drones later, which Kevin should be doing. This base a little oversaturated. HEAVYSTARCH looks like maybe just cleaning up a little bit of creep, not really going for a full-on fight there. Kevin may be thinking about a fight here. I'm not sure if that's the right call. Sacrificing his mutas there, they're not really going to be too useful, so bring up some of that supply. Good call there. 5 Vipers in production, 1 for his melee ground units. Greatness plating for the Ultralisks as well. Now the Ultralisks are going to be essential in dealing with the ground force. They're going to be just chomping up the Archons, chopping up the High Templars, even this Colossus in the mix. It's a very delicate balance when going up against the Skytoss army. You obviously need very substantial anti-air, but if the Protoss mixes in ground units like HEAVYSTARCH is doing, then you certainly need some anti-ground as well. Usually it's either Ultralisks or Lurkers, sometimes Broodlords. Obviously Kevin is going for the Ultralisks in this game and doing the right thing here as well, building a bit of a spore forest. It's going to make it more difficult for HEAVYSTARCH to ever push in, at least to this location. And this one probably once these are finished. Spores just going to be able to deal out a lot of damage to the interceptors, kind of take the pressure off of the rest of your army just a little bit. And I wouldn't mind seeing a few more queens as well for the transfusions. They also help in dealing with the interceptors. But Kevin, it looked very bad for the first 10 or so minutes of this game, but right now, not looking too shabby. I would call it a pretty even game at this point. HEAVYSTARCH does have the army advantage. Very scary army here. But doesn't really have too many bases mining anymore. As we see, this one's mining out, this one's mining out. Main base is completely dry. Whereas Kevin, he's got essentially his whole side of the map here, prioritizing gas as he should be. And I think HEAVYSTARCH, he has been maxed out for a few minutes. I think he should be pushing forward, trying to get something done with his more complex army. And that's what he's doing now. Going to be taking out this 6th or whatever number base that is. Kevin deciding if he wants to go for the engagement. It's very tricky here. And here come the Vipers. Going to throw out a couple parasitic bombs. Feedback's not that on point for Heavy Starch there. Ooh, that storm. Ooh, that there was some good spell casting. But initially it was not that great. And here comes the rest of the Zerg army, taking a lot of damage from those storms as well as the Archons. Look at how bruised up these Corruptors are. They do take out all of the carriers, but they cannot stick around for much longer. Kind of a stalemate there, both armies backing off. The Ultras do get cleaned up before they are able to really do too much to this ground army. And now we're just kind of resetting. Kevin, just by merit of being a Zerg player, going to be able to re-max very quickly, but most of that in Zerglings, not too useful. And Heavy Starch just gotta settle for slowly rebuilding his carriers 3 at a time. He does recognize this, puts down 2 more Stargates. He's going for Colossus as well, out of only 1 Robo, it looks like. Colossus going to be pretty good against Zerglings, but Kevin does have a good amount of Ultralisks in the mix as well. So, not sure who really has the army advantage now. As we do see these Corruptors trying to get healed up by the Queens. But the Corruptor count, not that high anymore. 16. And we do see Heavy Starch is continuing to commit to that carrier-based army. So once that number gets back up there, it's going to be difficult for Kevin to deal with. Looks like Kevin looking for some damage himself now, going for a big attack onto this 5th base, I think it is, for Heavy Starch. In come the Lings, in come the Ultras, and they're going to just chew up this base here. Some of these Ultras kind of going their own way, going Rambo, if you will. And they do a decent amount of damage to the ground army there. And I guess they kind of occupy the army for a few moments. But he doesn't take out this base. Took out some workers there. The problem with this overlay, it doesn't show me how much was taken out, but Heavy Starch down to 51 probes. I don't know if that was entirely worth it. There was a lot of Lings, a lot of Ultras invested into that, but it does kind of clean up this base. And Kevin once again remaxing very quickly. 12 Ultralisks going to be popping in the next few seconds. Heavy Starch with this bottom left base as well. 2 Nexuses down here. Nexuses down here. Not sure why. I guess extra chrono boost? I don't know. You don't really need chrono boost at this stage of the game any longer. You've kind of already gotten most of your upgrades. Yeah, I don't really know why. I guess it's a stronger part of the wall. But here comes Kevin with those 12 beefy space cows once again. This time Heavy Starch in position to deal with this, but 12 Ultras, that's a lot of Ultras, and they are just going to cleave right through the ground army here. Interceptors kind of just tickling the Ultras. These Ultras going to town. A few DTs in the mix, but there are Overseers aplenty. These Ultras kind of derping on the cannon there. But they are doing quite a lot of damage, and Heavy Starch dropping down to 67 supply. Kevinnleee with quite a remarkable comeback in this game. I thought he was dead after that initial cannon rush and failed Baling Bust counterattack. But Kevinnleee doing a fantastic job in this game, clawing himself back and in prime position to take this game. Now his economy has been essentially untouched. He's transferring workers to this center location base. 5 zealots. Gonna see what kind of counterattack damage they can get done. Might be able to get a few drones, a queen, but yeah, that's about it. And Kevin's sitting pretty at 157 supply. Ultralisk popping. They're going to clean that up. Another counterattack at this left side base. 3 DT is going to take out this hash rate pretty quickly. But that's just too little too late at this stage of the game for HEAVYSTARCH, who is grasping at straws. kevinnleee going to, looks like, be able to take this game. Clutching victory from the jaws of defeat, or more like HEAVYSTARCH clutching defeat from the jaws of victory, because it was looking so good for him for most of the game, I would say. But excellent job from Kevin. The drone count a little bit low, but at this stage of the game, it's fine. Spore Forest, I love that call. Just makes it so hard for the Protoss to engage in. And it looks like HEAVYSTARCH transitioning to a full ground army, getting immortals, which is absolutely what you need against Ultralisks, but again, just a little too late. And this is too many Ultralisks. And I think the next fight will be the last one, unless HEAVYSTARCH can pull a rabbit out of his hat here. Kevin maxed out at 200 supply, roaming around the map, looking for that killing blow. HEAVYSTARCH just trying to buy time. He needs to mass up an army, and if he had like 5 more minutes where he's untouched, maybe he can max out and go for a decent fight, but I don't think Kevin is going to give that to him. In he goes with his Ling Ultra Corruptor army. Corruptor's not really doing a whole lot. Kind of dead weight in the air right now, so this army supply a little bit inflated in that regards. Only 2 carriers in the sky, but I don't think it's gonna matter. This carrier's going down real quick. And, well, 3 ultras. Can they clean this up? Best micro out of HEAVYSTARCH, but he does clean up those ultras, but at what cost? 87 supply, make that 95 for the Protoss, 156 for Kevin. 6 more ultras in the way in production, and HEAVYSTARCH kind of going for a Hail Mary counter attack here, but once those 6 ultras pop, I don't think HEAVYSTARCH is going to be able to hang on much longer. These Corruptors, that supply once again. Wouldn't mind seeing a Greater Spire, maybe morph those into Broodlords. HEAVYSTARCH can take out the top right base. Kevin just being patient. He doesn't need that at the moment. He wants to group up his army. Doesn't want to throw at this point in the game. Be mindful of that. Don't want to pull a Timbo Slice here. HEAVYSTARCH just backing away now. I don't know if that's the right call, because the more time you give Kevin, the more he's going to be mining with these bases. Well, it's actually only this base that's mining, but this base coming up as well. And HEAVYSTARCH gonna need a few more minutes to get his economy back up. This base newly reclaimed. The Ling Ultra out of kevinnleee. Is that going to be enough? I think, yes, there's only 2 immortals in this army. Corruptors, gonna see what they can do, but there's only a few Void Rays. in the sky. Wouldn't mind seeing Kevin, utilize that caustic spray, that green pea ability. Yeah, maybe that's what he's looking for. Just an opening to urinate on his opponent here at insult to injury, and yes, this damage just ramps up so quickly. Boom, down goes the Nexus, forcing that battery overcharge as well, which is not going to do a whole lot. And yeah, that wasn't the most impactful base. It was already mined out, just a little bit of gas remaining, but still, it's annoying. And now Kevin, maxed out once again, going to be looking for perhaps the killing blow this time around. Raptors just flying around once again. Going to be looking for any openings. That's not the base to do it. There's a lot of cannons there. I don't know, Kev. And yeah, sacrificing a lot of corruptors there, but that's honestly an okay move. Free up some supply, and here comes the ground army. Ling's kind of getting melted by the Colossus, but does it matter? I don't think so. Storm's going down. That's not going to do a whole lot. Corruptors taking out the couple of Void Rays, and Storm's not doing a whole lot. Once again, Ling's gonna be, well, taken out by HEAVYSTARCH's units. And these 5 Ultras, they are just going to town. A few more Lings showing up. But this should finally be the end, reinforcing Lings showing up to the party, and the Ultras just chomping on away. What a game out of kevinnleee, showing some magnificent resilience, staying in. And we are gonna see the GG any second now. Well, it is a ladder game, so maybe there's no GG. I honestly don't remember how this game ended. It was played on stream, but it's been so long. I don't remember what happens, but I can tell you this much. This game is over. This man is DED dead. And he is just coming to terms with that now, I guess. Look at that. These stalkers are kind of like stacked on top of each other. That's kind of trippy. HEAVYSTARCH just trying anything he can, morphing in a couple Archons, but yeah, that's not going to be enough. 7 Corruptors. Gonna see if they can find more opportunities to urinate on his opponent here. Probably not going to be able to, but even if he just loses them, that is fine. And Kevin got a good amount of money in the bank. Could be producing more stuff, but maybe he's not entirely sure what he wants at this moment. HEAVYSTARCH thinking of going for an attack, maybe. He's trying to take this base, which honestly should have been taken a long time ago. Definitely a misplay out of the Protoss here. Should have been taking more bases when he had that heavy advantage. Now it's going to be very difficult for him to hold this. Kevin reclaiming that top right base, his left side base as well. 10 more Corruptors in production. I'm not sure about that. I don't know what he saw that prompted that, because there are no more air units for the Protoss. None in production either. We do have that Greater Spire morphing, so maybe Broodlords will be in production in the next 3 minutes or so. Kevin just utilizing almost every tool in the Zerg arsenal. I guess no Hydras, no Lurkers, no Infestors, no Roaches either. Alright, never mind. But Kevin doing a good job. He's being very careful here. He's not like forcing the issue. He's not just ramming into his opponent. Collecting his units, maxing out, being very patient. And, you know, sometimes that's the right call, sometimes it's not. But I think either way would have been fine just because of how far ahead Kevin is at this point. However, this newly established base from HEAVYSTARCH is mining. And that's going to give HEAVYSTARCH a little bit of hope in this game. He's going to use this as kind of his launching pad for maybe an attack on this top right. But Kevin, counting that with the changeling, gonna go for the throat now, taking out a very pivotal base for HEAVYSTARCH. And oh, that's not a great avenue of attack there. Kind of sending his units into a choke, but now going for the semi-surround, and he is going to take out all those very expensive High Templars. These Stalkers do blink, but that's just too little, too late once again. And DD's actually doing a little bit of work. Where are the Overseers? Still, just not going to be enough. This base gets taken out. And Kevin going to set his sights on going home. Okay. But 38 supply, 44 supply rather, for HEAVYSTARCH. He is just out of air. He's dead. He's suffocating. He's being choked out. Kevin's got his arm wrapped around the neck of HEAVYSTARCH, and HEAVYSTARCH not tapping out. He is going to sleep. Small little counterattack with Zealots and DTs, but that's just small potatoes at this point. Kevin going for the killing blow. Finally, I feel like I've said that at least 6 times this game. This should finally be it. This is a crazy call, just forcing your way up this tiny choke. There's about 7,000 cannons at this location. Force field's trying to go down, but Ultras just laugh in the face of that. This is a terribly inefficient move. Not that it really matters a whole lot, but just look at how well HEAVYSTARCH is defending with essentially nothing. Look at all the Lings. There are only 4 Ultras left here. That was an insane call by kevinnleee. There is nothing really to take out in the natural or main base. Like, these bases aren't mining, there's not much production. And HEAVYSTARCH with the salt. What did he say there? Zerg still OP Imba. And that is rich, coming out of the man who went for a cannon rush into Skytoss. But GG does not get called. And Kevin clawing himself back from the depths of hell. What a game. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, leave a comment, hit subscribe, ring the bell, whatever. And I'll see you guys next time.